What is the way? The subject of today's discourse is what is the way. Regarding the proper way, it has been said in the Mahabharata, Shrutayo vibinaha smritayo vibinaha naika munir yasya matam na binam dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam mahajano yena gataha sapanta. Shrutayo vibinaha. The word shruti means spiritual code. The ancient people did not know how to write, because they were not acquainted with the scripts, A, B, C, D, or A, K, K, etc. The people of those days were quite scholarly, no doubt, but the alphabets were not yet invented. Teachers or preceptors used to impart lessons orally, and students would learn by heart from listening to them. There was no way to read or write books. In the absence of script, the scriptures could not be written down. As the pupils would memorize the scriptures by hearing with their ears discourses from their preceptors, the Vedas were called Shruti, which in modern Sanskrit means ear. Now there is a great deal of difference amongst these religious texts. Naturally, the question arises, what will the masses do? Which one will they follow, and which one will they reject? The mutual difference amongst the extant texts is bound to pose a baffling problem to common people. Some scriptures suggest that while worshipping a deity, one should sit facing the east, while others advocate sitting facing the west. Under such circumstances, what should people do? Obviously, this question agitated people's minds, which one to accept and which to reject. Next, let us consider the social codes. The purpose of a social code is to formulate relevant laws and provide necessary guidance regarding the establishment of a society free from exploitation. For example, Manusmriti, Para Sharam Smriti, etc. But here again there are mutual differences amongst the various social codes. So again people face the same problem of who to accept and whom to reject. Smritayo vibinaha. Varying social codes are prevalent in different parts of India. In most of India, the Mitakshara system of social inheritance as enunciated by Manu is prevalent, whereas in Meghalaya, the popular system is the matrilineal order. In West Bengal, the Dayabhaga system. In Kerala, the Nayar system. People are confronted with a baffling choice. Naika muniras yasya matamna binam. There is a marked difference of opinion amongst the munis. Muni literally means an intellectual. In the scriptures it has been said, Na muni rudugda balakaha muni samlimana saha. A muni is not a mere baby. A muni is one who has attached his or her mind to Paramapurusha. Just to declare Annie Ram, Shyam, Tom, Dick or Harry as a muni cannot be accepted. A real muni is one who keeps his or her mind fixed on Paramapurusha. In the Shlokya, muni means unintellectual. It is said here that the great intellectuals also differ widely amongst themselves. Different intellectuals have given different interpretation of the scriptures, and there are different commentaries and annotations on the same scriptures. An average person invariably faces a problem to select the right text. According to some, Vyasa Deva commentary on the Manu Samhita is scientific and hence more acceptable, whereas in the opinion of other Pandits, Jimuta Baham Bhattacharya's commentary is more reasonable. Against the backdrop of such a massive variety of literature, the problem of choosing the right text always persists. It is said, Dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam, that is, the inner essence of Dharma is hidden in the existential I-feeling of the human mind, that which controls human conduct and behavior. Indeed, human beings' entire lifestyle is called Dharma. In Dharma lies the greatest joy, the supreme beatitude of human life, the path of realizing the Supreme Entity. Hence it is mandatory for all people, young and old, strong and infirm, wise and foolish, to follow Dharma. Dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam. In Sanskrit, the word guha has two meanings. One is cave and the other is I feeling. The real essence of Dharma, its inner import, is hidden in one's existential I feeling. The highest goal of Dharma is spiritual progress. The terminating point of excellence is Paramatma, the supreme cognition. Where is the abode of this Paramatma? Its abode is the human mind. It is meaningless and unnecessary to run hither and thither, and to journey to so-called places of pilgrimage in quest of Paramapurusha, because he is seated right inside the I-feeling of the human mind. He is not an object of a distant heaven. Brihacha Tariviyama Shintya Rupam Sukshmasha Tat Sukshmataram Vibhati Durat Sudure Tari Hantikesha Pashyal Svadhyaya Nihitam Guhayam. Some consider the Supreme Entity to be very vast. In fact, he is so vast that it is impossible for them to see him. Human beings with their limited visual power can't even have a full view of the vast sky. How can they expect to have a complete view of the Supreme Entity who is immeasurably bigger than the sky? The Sanskrit word brihat means that which is unfathomable. Others say that Paramapurusha is too small and subtle to be seen by anyone. Just as we cannot see a very vast entity, similarly we cannot see a very small entity either. Durat Sudure. If people think that Paramapurusha is far from them, then he is very, very far. Dura means far, and Sudura means so far that the human mind cannot even imagine it. Tari Hantikesha. Antike means near, and Ihantike means so near, so close that the human mind cannot conceive it. Those who have the ability see that Parama, Atma, is hidden in their very eye feeling. In this situation, what should people do? It is said, Shrutayo Vibinaha, Smritayo Vibinaha. The scriptural codes differ from one another. The social codes also vary widely, and the intellectuals also differ amongst themselves on many subjects. But for a layperson, the Vedas are not very important, nor are the social treatises, nor even the utterance of the Munis. What is truly important is genuine spiritual knowledge. Thus, people should approach only those who have the proper intuition knowledge, who have realized the supreme truth. It is useless for them to go to so-called intellectuals. It is not theoretical knowledge, but the practical aspect of spirituality, which is really important. By reading books, one may know how to prepare rasagolas theoretically, but that is not enough. To get the actual taste of a rasagola, one will have to contact a professional confectioner. Likewise, to realize Paramapurusha, one will have to come in contact with a Sadguru, a competent spiritual preceptor. For such persons alone can impart suitable lessons regarding spiritual practice. Through the study of books, one can never attain or realize the supreme consciousness. Some people say, keep on doing good deeds. That is sufficient. No, that is not enough. Suppose some people perform good deeds, but they have no definite goal before them. This will not produce any good results. Their effort will be futile. Suppose you want to move forward, you should also know which way to move. Otherwise your entire movement will be meaningless. All your time, your hard effort, and your sincerity will go in vain. Hence it is not enough to simply say, keep on doing good deeds. Even those good deeds should have a clear goal. Why should I do good deeds? I should have a clear idea in which direction to move while doing those good deeds. What is karma? Karma means the change of position of an object. Along with the change in a position of an object, there is motivity of action, so time, place, and person, the three relative factors, are also involved. Naturally, the human mind, which measures all the relative factors, is also indispensable. Otherwise, how can the time factor remain without a support? Now, what is this time factor? Time is the mental measurement of the motivity of action. It is the microcosm, the human mind, which measures the motivity of action. Hence, on the basis of the time factor, how can one realize Paramapurusha? Behind this mental measurement, there may or may not be the support of Paramapurusha. You can fathom only according to the degree of your intellect. It may also be that in many cases your intellect may utterly fail you. For instance, if an object is extremely vast, it goes beyond the scope of your limited intellect. That is why it is incorrect to say that merely doing good deeds is enough. People must hold an object of ideation in their minds. That supreme object of ideation is Paramapurusha. Only then, if some good action is performed, it will be successful. Now, if one wants to do some good deeds excluding Paramatma, that may or may not be a good deed. This will be sheer selfishness on your part, and nothing good can come from it. This is why great and realized people not only perform good deeds, but they also do something more than that. There are a group of people who are in favor of practicing extreme austerities. To practice severe penance, to court physical trouble, while taking care of others is called tapa or penance in the scriptures. The ancient sadhakas used to practice such severe penance. They used to sit with their heads down and their legs raised high, lighting a fire around them, and they used to practice such rigorous penance for 12 years. But is it really worthwhile to do such practices, while only subject the body to physical tortures? Through such penances, it is almost impossible to achieve spiritual progress. To undergo physical torture just for the sake of experiencing pain does not lead to spiritual elevation. After those sadhakas underwent the long rigors of penance, with their heads down and legs up, with the leaping flames of fire all around them, they had no self-satisfaction that their penance had done even the slightest good to others. By undergoing hardship, one should always help others, and thereby one feels satisfied that at least some good has been done to others. Rigorous austerities do not such do austerities, rigorous austerities do no such good. Then what is the justification for undergoing such unnecessary physical tortures? This is nothing but sheer foolishness. There are some people who recommend yogic practices. By yogic practices, they mean only the practices of asanas. Now, what is the benefit of such practices if the mind is engaged in filthy thoughts? Can the mere practice of asanas take one's mind to Paramapurusha? No, it is impossible. Asan mare kya hua yogai naman kiyash yo kaluka bayel kagar ki kosh bashas. A bullock moving around and around, grinding oil in a mill, may trudge along for 50 miles or so, but has it really progressed in its journey? It is merely tied to an oil-pressing machine. Regarding the definition of yoga, it is said that yoga chitta vritti nirodha, the suspension of all mental propensities, is yoga. Hatha yoga is another name for such yoga. Suppose people suspend their mental propensities by artificial methods, by stopping the activities of their nerves. Will that help in attaining God realization? When people fall asleep, their mental activities remain suspended. Does sleep help in attaining Brahma? Hence, that is also not the correct approach. The logic that the suspension of mental propensities lead to supreme spiritual attainment is also false. Still others say, Sarva Shinta Parityogo Nishinto Yoga Ushate. Various thoughts are constantly emerging from the human mind, which drive people virtually mad. In sorrow, people may suddenly burst out crying, or sometimes sleeping children while watching a football game in a dream cry out, "Goal, goal," and may even unconsciously kick those sleeping beside them. Now, if all one's thoughts are forgone, as happens during sleep, can that be called yoga? When one continues to think during sleep, it is called dream, and when in slumber the mind is freed from all thoughts, it is called sleep. Can the state of sleep be called yoga? Certainly not. There is yet another interpretation of yoga. Sam yoga yoga ityuktaha jivatma paramatmanaha. When the unit consciousness and the supreme consciousness become one, it is called yoga. Now how to bring about this unification? Mere theoretical assertion will not help. Something practical has to be done. What is that mean something? Some people observe that if true knowledge is aroused, the goal will be automatically realized. But how to arouse true knowledge? One may acquire various types of knowledge in art, science, literature, medical science, engineering, or agriculture. Suppose people have attained knowledge in one of these subjects, will they attain God realization thereby? In the scriptures, knowledge is divided into two categories, vidya and avidya. What we learn for the proper progress in the mundane and mental levels is termed avidya. Avidya cannot be altogether rejected, for in order to serve humanity, avidya is also necessary. But avidya has no end, no limit. Take for instance the case of a great scholar in geography. Geography comes within the scope of avidya. The science of spirituality is called vijnana or special knowledge in Sanskrit. What people usually call science is not vijnana, it is avidya or mundane knowledge. Suppose a person claims to be a great scholar, an authority in geography, and you ask him, well sir, you are certainly a great scholar in geography. Can you tell me how many ants live in such and such city? Certainly he cannot reply correctly. Thus it is observed that mundane knowledge is never perfect. Had mundane knowledge been perfect, kings and emperors would never have died. Their royal physicians would certainly have cured them of all diseases. It is indeed strange that a physician who is a specialist in heart disease dies of heart trouble. The reason lies in the imperfection of mundane knowledge. In fact, human knowledge is always imperfect. Then how will human beings attain spiritual knowledge? In reply, it is said, Atma Jnanam Vidur Jnanam Jnanam Jnanani Yanitu Tani Jnana Vabhashani Sara Syana Eva Bodhanat. Self-knowledge is the true knowledge. All other knowledges are the mere shadows of knowledge that do not give the exact idea of reality. Then what is the solution? There is only one way applicable to all, which is the recognized path. Those jnanis who follow the path of knowledge are misguided fools. Whether people have a philosophy or not, whether they have good qualities or not, they are the children of Paramapurusha, part and parcel of him. How great, how vast is the ocean, but how small, how insignificant in comparison is a drop of water. Yet that drop of water is a part of the ocean. It resides in the bosom of the vast ocean. In the same way, human beings are also part of Paramapurusha. They are his progeny, the supreme lord of all. Now if the same humans address Paramapurusha with appropriate humility, saying, O Lord, show us the way, take us to your feet, and allow us to sit on your loving lap. This is devotion. If this devotion is present, everything else will automatically take care of itself. What is the value of so-called intellect? Between me and my Lord, there cannot be any other entity. When people proceed with a straightforward idea, this is devotion. Beyond that, nothing else is important. That is why I say, learn the secrets of intuitional practice and move accordingly. This alone is sufficient.